Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today we got to take a look at To Catch a Thief on the new Paramount Presents Blu-ray and see how this stacks up to the previous release. Hey everyone, so thanks for coming back to the channel. Like I said, today we're taking a look at comparing the new Paramount Presents Blu-ray release of To Catch a Thief, which got a 4K remaster, to the previous Blu-ray release, which was pretty good. So we're going to take a look at the video and audio differences there, and then talk about the packaging differences and some of the special features. Now, if you like this sort of stuff, movie reviews, 4K, Blu-ray, collecting, home theater, please subscribe to the channel. We're just about to hit 30K. The goal for the year is to get to 50, so we got to push for that. I'd love if you could subscribe, like the video, turn on your notifications, and let me know in the comments what you guys think about this review, because I'll tell you right now, I think it's going to be one of the more controversial ones. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So, To Catch a Thief. This is the first one I wanted to check out on the Paramount Presents new Blu-ray line. Because of the three, I think it was my favorite of the three. And I just jumped into this one first. It is number 3 in the series though. So this is a new 4K remaster, but it is on a Blu-ray disc. And so we're not getting HDR, we're not getting 4K resolution. What Paramount did was basically scan this at 4K and then port it down to a Blu-ray. Now, am I happy with that? Not really. I think at this point, it's 2020. If you're doing 4K remasters, how much more does it really cost to put that on a 4K disc? Probably not that much in the scheme of things. So unfortunately, there's no plans for them to move to 4K, even though all of these Paramount Presents releases will have a 4K remaster, which kind of sucks. And it's kind of weird because other movies in the series like Days of Thunder is coming out on the Paramount Presents line, but then also getting its own separate 4K release, which is not a Paramount Presents release. Some really weird stuff going on right now. But anyway, the big difference between the two of these is that this is a 4K remaster and this was not. So immediately the biggest differences that I saw were on the Paramount Presents release, there's definitely different color grading. Things are a little bit lighter and they have more of a steel blue color to them. You'll notice it in some of the screenshots I took, especially in the ocean, in the water, in the blue on the car, and you'll notice it throughout the movie on skin tones, which actually looked better in my opinion. Now, some of this color grading, a lot of people were hard on it. From what I was reading initial reviews online and some other people that got early releases, I know High Def Digest was doing one and had a kind of a Twitter thread going, and I was going through it and kind of going back and forth on it. And I personally don't mind the new color grading because I tried to look for like original trailers online and stuff that would have been ported over from 35 millimeter and would have been like the original source. And I looked for old screenshots and things like that, and it tended to me to look like the color grading on this new Blu-ray was better than the previous one and was more faithful to the source. Now, I can't say for sure. I've never seen a 35 millimeter print of To Catch a Thief, so it's like really hard to compare. But if I'm comparing the two, there were some nice differences here. Skin tones were better, and I thought that the bluish tint in some scenes threw me off. But I would say this is like 80% better than this. There's about 20% of the scenes in this which I like better. So this is like a really tough review because they're so close. I'm looking at a Blu-ray versus a Blu-ray, which is really unlike most of what I do. So the color grading is one thing, and notice that in the screenshots. But now if we dive into the screenshots a little more, where I am starting to lose faith in this is the fact that it looks like there's some digital noise reduction that was done on this 4K remaster, and that we actually lost some detail because of it. The image will look smoother. It looks more digitally shot. In fact, it looks like this movie was shot within the last 20 years in some scenes. But in other scenes on this Blu-ray, on the new Blu-ray, I can see the film grain. So it's definitely not a pervasive thing, but there are a few instances which I picked out which were definitely smoothed out. Now I'm going to zoom in here on one image in particular where Cary Grant and Grace Kelly are in the car overlooking the city. And if you zoom in on one of the buildings, you'd be surprised, but This first image is the standard Blu-ray, the previous Blu-ray, and the second image is the new 4K remaster. And you can see when you get into really detailed and really zoom in on these screenshots that you're clearly losing some detail on the 4K. Now, it looks smoother up close, but when you get further away, you've lost detail because they've definitely messed with the film grain. The 35mm should be able to give you a ton more detail when you scan at 4K if it's done properly, but you can see in a few of these instances that you've definitely lost detail. Another screenshot here, if we look at this man's red tie, if we really zoom in on that, you can see that there is much more detail on the tie on the previous Blu-ray than on this new 4K master. So there's some curious stuff like that going on, and I honestly don't love it because it's not all over the place. It's not as bad as some DNR has been in the past on other movies, but it's clearly there and it throws off some scenes and it just doesn't look natural. Now on the previous Blu-ray release here, there is a ton of film grain and it's very grainy, but it was shot on film and that is how it should look. The other disturbing thing with this is that Alfred Hitchcock actually used a new type of 35mm, which is supposed to give more detail in the way he shot this movie, and to lose it when we go to 4K means that something was artificially done or the scan wasn't done properly. And so overall on video for this, I'd have to give this a fairly low mark, and I do think I prefer the previous Blu-ray, which was a very good Blu-ray release. In terms of visuals, it has the 4K master beat. I'd love to see this 4K master on a 4K disc. That could be a difference maker with great HDR and that added resolution, but as it stands right now, it doesn't compare to the previous Blu-ray in my opinion. Now audio-wise, we've also got some interesting stuff going on here. On the original Blu-ray release, what we had a English 2.0 stereo Dolby True HD and the English mono Dolby True HD, which are more faithful to the source. Now in the Paramount Presents title, what we have a 5.1 Dolby True HD, a French mono Dolby Digital, and a Spanish mono Dolby Digital. But there isn't the mono True HD or the stereo True HD on this. You can only play it in a 5.1, which is not really faithful to the source. These older movies were at best stereo, most of them were mono, and so we're losing that, and you don't have the option. Some people like the upgraded audio tracks and the new mixes, and this is okay, it's fine, it sounds good, but like to strip down the features seems really odd for a release that's supposed to be premium, right? You'd think they'd include everything so you could watch this as pure to the source as you could, or you can enjoy the upgraded audio track. It's going to be your choice. Instead, they've removed that. So audio here is fine, but I really do miss the other tracks because sometimes when you're watching these old movies, it's nice to just put on a stereo track and it sounds better and it sounds more like an old movie versus a 5.1 track, which wasn't really a thing, back in the day. Now, they did a good mix on it, so I can't complain, but I just want to have the option. The other interesting thing here is with the special features. I'll dive into the packaging in a second, but they have stripped the special features, which is another really odd thing considering this is a, premium release. On this release here, we've got some new special features. There's Leonard Maltin, who does a whole focus on To Catch a Thief. There's Behind the Gates, which is a special feature on Cary Grant and Grace Kelly from 2009, which is cool. And there's a commentary by Dr. Drew Casper, who's a Hitchcock film historian, as well as the original trailer in HD. But on the previous release, we had commentary again by the film historian, but we had A Night with the Hitchcocks. We had film censorship in Hollywood. We had writing and casting To Catch a Thief, the making of To Catch a Thief. We still had the Behind the Gates, Cary Grant and Grace Kelly. We had Alfred Hitchcock in To Catch a Thief, an appreciation. Edith Head, The Paramount Years. If you love Catch a Thief, you'll love this interactive travelogue. We had a trailer. We had galleries. We had it's loaded with special features, and they've basically stripped all of them but 3. The documentary on Grace Kelly and Cary Grant, the short doc, the commentary, and the trailer, and they've only added 1 new one, but they've stripped out 4 or 5 from this release. Another really odd decision, and if I'm thinking about double dipping, first of all, I'm not getting a 4K resolution upgrade over this. I'm getting a 4K master, which I didn't think was great. I'm not getting the original audio, and I'm missing a bunch of the special features. So to me, is this really a premium package? Unfortunately not. I'm a little disappointed here in the first round of releases and the first one I've checked out from Paramount Presents. Now, the one thing this does have going for it is it has a cool slipcover, right? On the inside here, if you open it up, you get a poster. There's some nice artwork on it. It's got a numbered spine, all the things we like as collectors. And then opening it up, they went with a clear Blu-ray case, which reminds me a little bit of like Criterion. And then there is some artwork on the inside as well, and just a plain Blu-ray disc. So like ultimately, okay, kind of cool, nice slip cover, cool case. But take a look at the previous Blu-ray, also a really nice slip cover, right? And look at this, we did a black case, which looks super cool with the black slip. And at the same time, we're getting the same exact disc, plus more special features. So if you're a packaging person, honestly, I think you guys will be 50-50 on these. If you like the fold-out slipcover and the clear case with the numbered spine, this is great. But this is also a really cool one with the black case, and this was years before 4K was doing black cases, so it's kind of a cool packaging in and of itself, which is just another knock against, you know, the premium release here. So overall, I'm a little disappointed with the first review here because I was really hoping for, even though they were Blu-rays, I was hoping for these really great 4K masters. And there have been some excellent 4K mastered Blu-rays out there. Now, the curious thing is, why are you going to spend the time on the 4K restoration and not put it on a 4K disc? I think if they really wanted to play to collectors, they would spend more time on the master, they would put it on a 4K disc, and they would port over all those original special features. Criterion releases are loaded with special features. So if we're comparing it to that, or an Arrow Video, or some of these other premium companies that will re-release old titles like this in their format, this doesn't hold up, unfortunately. I don't find this to be much better than any standard Blu-ray out there, minus a fold-out slipcover, but even that I've seen on movies like Hateful Eight and others. Birdman, I think, had one. There's a few other movies that came with those just standard, and so it's not really revolutionary stuff. The clear case isn't, and losing all the special features and having just a 4K master on a Blu-ray, I don't know why you'd spend the money to upgrade over this, which you could probably get for $5 right now, and drop, you know, $20 on this release or more. It just doesn't really, doesn't line up for me, and it's a really disappointing first step in this series. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I try not to be too negative. I mean, there are some decent things about this, but really, if you're looking for To Catch a Thief on Blu-ray, I prefer the previous one, and that's the one I would go to. I'll link both down in the description. Make your own judgments based on the screenshots I've given you, and certainly read and watch other reviews, because I think these are going to be very controversial. But I, for one, am disappointed, and, you know, I got this sent to me by Paramount to review, to check out, to get an early preview, and so I didn't purchase it. If I had purchased this, I think I would have been disappointed in it, and possibly brought it back after I did a comparison, because I just don't think it's worth it, and it has a sort of poor 4K transfer. It's missing a lot of audio tracks and special features, and the packaging is cool, but I was really hoping for a little bit more. So thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, I'll leave links to both versions down in the description. You can make your decision if you purchase. That helps support my channel. Remember to follow me on Instagram. Check out all my other videos. Make sure you're subscribed, have your notifications on, and check out all the other links down in my description in ways you can help support me. Really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your week and a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.